Wrestling and Jiu Jitsu, much different, but very similar in the same aspect. You know, they're both grappling sports.
Jiu Jitsu was introduced to the United States through mixed martial arts. The way it was originally pushed as a product in the United States was as a fighting style. Most of the early publicity surrounding Jiu-Jitsu in the martial arts community was in terms of this is, you know, some kind of ultimate fighting style where most fights end up on the ground, and Jiu-Jitsu is the best way to cope with this.
A wrestler, I think, more wants to be on top, where the Jiu-Jitsu guy and those guys like to be on the bottom. The ground wrestling, they try for submission holds. But usually a wrestler keeps his arms in and is able to keep his guard.
I think that, you know, when you first look at Jiu-Jitsu, you could be intimidated when you see the joint locks and you see the danger of it, of perhaps getting your joint hyperextended. You know, many people have a job to go to. They can show up with a black eye and things like that. But Jiu-Jitsu is actually a very gentle martial art.
But wrestling is, you know, you got to pin a guy, try to get him on his back. You know, it's more you're just trying to score points and pins. In Jiu-Jitsu, you can, you know, get points too in the competitive Jiu-Jitsu with, you know, passes and sweeps, you know, reversals and whatnot. But you're also looking to get to submit somebody. You know, in wrestling, there's no submissions. So.
And I think one thing about wrestling is once you wrestle, I think everything in life is a little easier. You know, that's a quote from Dan Gable. Because I think you visualize, you sit back, and you evaluate things before you go head on to it. So, you know, you do a lot of planning before you actually do your own competition. And some guys visualize their own matches beforehand, how it's gonna go. And sometimes it don't work out that way. And then you have to have an alternate plan.
My name is Brian Simmons. I'm the CEO and founder of Grappler's Quest. We get a lot of different athletes from different sports that are awesome in their sport, but they also do have a great crossover to submission grappling. So we've had tons of judo guys coming out. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu obviously is I would say our strongest for a group of competitor base, probably like 60-70% of our competitor base. But the remaining is of wrestlers, judo players, sambo players, and just basically combat ground athletes.
It's all about body awareness and mat awareness and positioning and things like that. And I think that's why, you know, it's no surprise to me that these guys are doing really, really well. You know, regardless of whether it's grappling, MMA, fighting, boxing, it's all about positioning.
I think they're very intertwined. You know, me coming from wrestling to jiu-jitsu, my transition wasn't that, you know, that big of a step for me. Obviously, I did a lot of things wrong because of the wrestling background I had when I went to jiu-jitsu, leaving your neck out there and whatnot. You know, giving up your back a little bit, but just because it's, you know, the grappling art and, you know, you're you know, very similar in that aspect. It's, you know, they're really intertwined.
But I'm very much against kids being pushed into jiu-jitsu or indeed any other sport when it's really more the passion of the parent than it is of the child. But for those parents who have a child who wants to learn jiu-jitsu but they're timid about it, you know, this is a rough-looking contact sport, you know, I would just urge them to come in and have a look at a class, and they will see that it's a sport not unlike other widely played sports. It's probably got not that much more contact than football.
I would tell those parents that are afraid for their kids, just come to one class, and I guarantee you'll change your mind. You know, you'll see your kid, I'm telling you, it'll change your kids' lives, you know.
One of the most important gifts a parent can give to his son is knowledge. And it's knowledge on every area, you know. It's knowledge about how to carry themselves in life. It's how to be polite with others. And for sure, the knowledge of defending themselves.
So I think more kids, especially with Grappler's Quest offers wrestling divisions, judo divisions, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu divisions, and submission grappling divisions. So they have a showcase there as a competitor. thing is now we're doing the wrestling takedown challenge. The winners are getting hired by the jiu-jitsu schools.
Yeah, I did it early on in my career. I competed in, I think, Grappler's Quest and in Naga, maybe like 3 tournaments or something. I was fighting right away, and I did it just to get some, just some more time just competing, in jiu-jitsu, because I never had before. I think it's huge. Competition is the best way to learn. I think jiu-jitsu is growing immensely, you know, especially on the East Coast. The West Coast, I feel it's, you know, a little more in there, ingrained in them. You know, over here, MMA is getting bigger, jiu-jitsu is getting bigger. You know, you got the Grapplers Quest and the Nagas, and I'm sure those tournaments are seeing it too, you know, seeing the weight classes have more and more guys.
I think the super athlete will come from wrestling. The genre of the super athlete is upon us. The new dawn of a new mixed martial arts athlete. In the last few years, it just started. Wrestlers have amazing base. Their takedowns are obviously phenomenal. And they have more of the balance concepts. If they can take off the, you know, a lot of coaches are great. Ricardo Almeida being one of them, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, who's able to take phenomenal wrestlers and turn them into mixed martial arts athletes.
It's grown exponentially with spectators. You know, you get people that love watching it and they want to go to the events. Jiu-Jitsu has grown just as much with numbers of practitioners. You know, it's a martial art that traditionally is very well thought. It takes a long time to build and teach somebody from white belt all the way to black belt.
You're a brown belt under Ricardo. When do you get that black belt? What do you think you have to do to get that black belt? Submit Ben Henderson, maybe?
I'm sure that wouldn't hurt, but you know, I don't know. You know, that's up to those guys. They'll let me know when I'm ready. Ricardo will never push me if I'm not ready, or promote me if I'm not ready, or he knows how to push you just the right way. So, you know, whenever I get it, I'll be grateful. You know, that's something I'm definitely working towards.
To have New York ban MMA, it's ridiculous.
It's a shame.
It's frustrating.
It's a sin.
It's unfair.
It's definitely political. I don't know why in the world we would ever, you know, want to ban this.
Oh, it's tough times out there, you know, and this is a proven industry that generates money for a city.
It would be a great thing for us to be able to have Frankie in Madison Square Garden.